All
Okay,
right.
I like this smile on your face, Tom.
good.
All right. I am silencing everybody. Scooby Doo.
So today we're going to be treating again the question of our brain, our relationship to our brain. And it's an ongoing theme that what meditation really helps us with is to distinguish between what our brain is doing and who we are. And this is going to come through in a lot of different ways. We're going to be addressing that critical voice that goes on, and that even when we think it's not going on, it's going on. And so, again, how do we establish a wise relationship to it? So, we were raised in traditions, most of us. You can't be raised in a Judeo Christian environment or any Western religion without being heavily steeped in the idea of sin. The difference between the East and the West is that sin carries an ontological weight. And what I mean by that,
Uh-oh. What happened there? Somebody did. There we go.
what it means is that for us, making a mistake carries the weight of going to hell for eternity, of infinite punishment for a finite flaw. And we're also in a time compressed framework where we only have one lifetime to get it right. So we live with a God who has a plan for us, does not tell us what the plan is, but if we fuck it up, we're going to hell for eternity. And that's pretty much the gist of it. And that's relatively claustrophobic for anybody who grew up in an abusive environment. The East has a much more relaxed attitude. They take it that as fallible human beings, we're going to make mistakes all the time, and that's not the point. The point is to get back on track as quick as possible. And that's why they do a daily, if we were in a Zendo right now, we would be doing a Gatha of repentance, poem of repentance, and we would say, for all evil created by me through my thoughts, words, and deeds, through my thought, speech, and action, I repent of it now. And so we get that out of the way so we can start the day fresh. But there's no sense that you're a bad person because you make mistakes. So we carry a weight we don't even know we're carrying. It runs in the background. Danna Faulds speaks to this in her poem, Awaken Now. Why wait for your awakening? The moment your eyes are open, seize the day. Would you hold back when the beloved beckons? Would you deliver your litany of sins like a child's collection of seashells, prized and labeled? No, I can't step across the threshold, you say, eyes downcast. I'm not worthy, I'm afraid, my motives aren't pure, I'm not perfect. Surely I haven't practiced nearly enough. My meditation isn't deep, my prayers are sometimes insincere. I chew my fingernails, the refrigerator is still not clean. Do you value your reasons for staying small more than you value the light shining through the open door? Please forgive yourself. Now is the only time you have to be whole. Now is the sole moment that exists to live in the light of your true self. Perfection is not a prerequisite for anything but pain. Please, oh please, don't continue to believe in your disbelief. This is the day of your awakening. Awaken. Do not squander your life. So, we got Chat GPT now. So someone framed a question. Says, okay, supercomputer, and the answer's not 42. So, you know that body of work. So they ask, what, you've read all the psychology, all the neuroscience, what do we need to understand to keep from screwing up our lives? It's a good question to ask. And these were the answers that came back. First, understand that your brain lies to you. I'm going to say that again. Your brain lies to you. It is not an objective observer. You are a narrator. Your brain is a narrator that constantly invents stories that feel true. And really what you get to, well, that feels right. That feels like that fits. But it's built on, listen to this list, cognitive bias, okay, what you've been trained to see and not see. It's based on emotional residue, which we've dealt with. If you got adrenaline in your system and cortisol, you'll see the world one way. If you got anandamide in your system, you'll see it another way. And it's also based on past wounds, because most of us live in the traumatized part of our brain, not in the part of our brain that's capable of rational thinking. So we've got those three things working against us in the background all the time. Second thing, very much in line with Buddhist practice, is that what you avoid controls you. In the short term, our avoidance of discomfort, and it's the avoidance of discomfort that is the root of most of our suffering, feels like relief. But every time that you indulge in avoiding discomfort, what you're actually doing is you're installing through that fear, you're installing shame, you're installing resentments, okay? And you're installing procrastination. So it's not what you think you're doing, it's what you're really doing in that avoidance. It builds up those patterns and their consequences of avoidance that are inescapable. I'll say them again: resentments, fears, shame, and procrastination. The third truth is that you are not who you think you are. You are who you actually are, and that we need to spend time simply being and getting outside of our brain and thinking with a simple presence to life. What you are or think you are is actually a series of feedback loops. Loop of habits, of roles, of beliefs that you've accumulated, and of repeated stories. And you begin to watch, which is what we do in meditation, and you can see your brain do all these things, okay? Story repetition, habitual patterns that condition mind, the roles that you've been asked to play. We have 142 different personality traits, and who you are depends upon who you're with, where you are. And you're constantly adapting to external circumstances with no coherence between them, or integration between them. Whatever it is that you repeat the most is what you're becoming. Okay, this is the law of karma. I hope it's getting through to you. It's not what your intentions are. Your intentions don't matter. It's that every thought, every action, every emotion that you have is grooving a neural pathway. You're either building a new neural pathway, repeating an old neural pathway and making it stronger, or you're extinguishing one. But we have to learn to take control of the switch, or we get into that loop that's not who you are, but who you've been, okay, and where you've been. We are wired for emotion, but we're built to regulate it. Emotion that's not controlled, that we simply let run its course, is actually destructive. Simply feeling, which is what we learned back in the 70s, 80s, oh, your feelings are important, know your feelings, trust your gut, couldn't be the worst guide for your life, okay? Feelings, again, are conditioned. We have to be able to name, hold, and use an emotion. Okay, listen to that. Name, hold, and use it, right? So again, if you think of emotion as energy, you name, I'm experiencing it in this form right now. I'm experiencing anger. Yes. Hold it. Don't act on it. Okay? And we learn this in AA. You have a feeling, but you don't act on it. You go and talk to your sponsor and you process it. You downgrade it. You don't dump it. You don't unload it. And then you begin to understand that underneath that is generally pain. You soften into the pain, you let go of the avoidance, and you discover that you got more energy to begin to lead your life. And that's a process that we all have to learn. So one, we're being lied to. We are not who we think we are. We're not those thoughts going on in our heads. We're not the stories that we tell ourselves. That whatever we try to avoid, we're actually reinforcing negative things through the avoidance. We need to be able to hold the emotions. We need to be able to understand what they are, but then release them and use that energy. So a friend of mine sent me this particular interview, which I shared it with Linnell, and she absolutely loved it. So I thought that we would play this before we begin our meditation.
Okay,
Hoping we can find it.
here we go.
No, we don't.
Okay, never mind. Doot, doot, doot.
Yes. What do you think is more important?
You turned it off.
More positive thinking or less negative thinking? And I said, this is not a trick question. And I'll let them wrestle with that for a little bit. And for the group that we're talking to today, it's a very provocative question. Which is more important? Where do you get the most mileage? More positive thinking or less negative thinking? And the studies are unequivocal. It's less negative thinking. Now, the thing that gets us tangled up is that I guess pretty much all of us think of it as, okay, you've got this linear scale here, you know, and we'll say at the high end, the good end is optimism, and at the low end is pessimism, negative thinking. Well, studies show that they're actually two different scales. Really. And this is just fascinating to me. Positive thinking is important. And keep it up, keep it high. But if you want to get your real knowledge, just cut down on the negative thinking. Cut it down, cut it down, cut it down. That's the villain voice. That's the critic in your head. That's the demotivator. That's the discounter. That's the one that raises the doubts. And you can shut it up. It takes practice. It takes some discipline. But people say, well, I think I'm aware of my negative thinking, but they're not. About 70% of our negative thinking goes unperceived by us. It is so embedded in our day-to-day behavior.
We're not even aware of it.
We're not even aware of it. About 70%. It is so much just ingrained in the way we go about living.
It's habitual thinking.
Yes, and so let me tell you how it shows up. I'll talk about the 5 C's.
Okay.
Okay? The sneak attack of the 5 C's. Okay, the first one is complaining. Grapping. You know, it's too hot in Dallas. It is,
Yeah.
but that's not going to change if I gripe about it. Okay, so the first one is complaining. The next one's criticizing. Well, the grid went down today in Texas. We had brownouts. My air conditioners, and like there's always someone to criticize. So we've got complaining, we've got criticizing. Next one is concern. And I'm not talking about being empathic here and having concern for some other person. I'm talking about garden variety worrying. I'm concerned about this. Well, I'm concerned about inflation. Well, I'm concerned about, the news. All right. The next one is commiserating. We come in and I sit down with this person and they start their C's.
They're complaining. They're
And I say, I
frustrated.
get it, man. Yeah, I understand. I'm not doing anybody any good. When I start commiserating, I'm not doing anyone any good. It's destructive to both of us. And then the last one is catastrophizing, which is just when you're really down, you just blow things all out of proportion, you know. But those things sneak in. If you start watching people, watching ourselves, how much we do this, and of course, we're surrounded by so much negativity. You know, you go, you listen to the news, you get on social media, and on and on and on.
Okay.
Recognizing.
We'll ask crowds this.
There we go.
That's why I'm going to start teaching a book called Soul Without Shame. And it's a very thick book. And it's excellent at beginning to show the level of shame that we carry, the level of self-hate and contempt in simple things like, if I believe that Linnell has done something bad to me and I go and I repeat that to other people, what I don't realize is that I'm self-harming because I'm thinking that I'm the kind of person that people would say that about. That's a subtle thing that's hard to get, that I would even be concerned that people are thinking those kinds of thoughts, entertain it, or
Concern.
project that onto another person. So as we sit today, what I'm going to invite you to do is to just check in periodically. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ring the bell about every 3 minutes and just say, what was I thinking? What was I just thinking? And it's a good thing to add into your practice. What I'm going to be talking a little bit more about is liminal states. And liminal states are transition states. When you move from sitting here doing this and you get ready to go into the house or whatever, you leave your meditation hall, there's a period of looseness there. In chaos theory, it's called a liminal state. What is water just before it becomes ice? What is water just before it becomes steam? There's a place where you're not settled yet. And it lasts about 6 minutes. And if you can catch these moments of transition, that's where you can introduce change in your behavior. Because if you're caught up in your conditioned mind, then you're going to make that transition from one conditioned state to another conditioned state. But if you can wake up in those transitions, and again, liminal means doorway. So it means moving from one room to another. And we're constantly doing that in our brains. And realize this is a point where I could introduce a new behavior or break the loop that I'm in. But it takes presence and awareness in that moment. So we're going to practice today waking up. Where am I? And then having the intention of sitting quiet, of letting go of the thoughts. So reintroduce your intention to simply sit and watch what's unfolding in front of you, to be present. As Linnell will say in her yoga meditation, my goal is to be fully present for this sadhana, for this series of exercises. If you're not present in it and you're just lolling through the poses, you're not doing yoga. You're doing stretching exercises. But yoga is using those opportunities to increase awareness and presence in your own bodies. So, head monk, if you would gong us in. Begin with the breath. Start by taking a few in breaths, and with the out breath, let it be longer than the in breath by a couple of beats. That increases the nitric oxide, which opens up your blood vessels, which begins to shift you towards rest and digest, parasympathetic. Using this transitional moment to let go of thinking, not because it's bad, just to let it go as it emerges, which it will. Letting go of doing, and simply being fully present to yourself, a phrase the Buddhists use that I love is wholehearted. Unifying your will. Not indulging in planning your grocery list or remembering an argument or worrying about clearing off the snow. These things emerge and you find that your mind has grasped them. Just breathe, and on the exhale, let them go and return to the breath. Begin to anchor yourself in your body, in your physical sensations, which helps calm the monkey mind, because it wants to jump to the past and the future, gets bored in the present, nothing to do. Breathing space into the body, letting it soften. Letting the breath deepen. Giving yourself permission to just sit back and witness, be the fool on the hill. The eyes in your head seeing the world spinning round. And as we said last week, begin to become aware of the space around your thoughts, space around your emotions, around your bodily sensations, that field of awareness that you used to live in as a child. doesn't use words. It isn't telling a story. Sensing that spaciousness that contains all your experience at once. Your inner experience, your outer experience, which is part of when you know that you're there, is that you're aware of all those things simultaneously without having to shift your focus. Softening the heart, the throat, simply being, opening and softening with each breath, noticing the connection between softening and awareness, more aware. The sound of the gong, see if you can catch where you were without criticism or judgment, just noting. Was I complaining, criticizing, expressing concern, catastrophizing? Beginning to watch the mind, the storyteller, the crafter of meaning, crafter of identity, the crafter of all the lies that make us small and miserable.
The self-criticism has kicked in.
Excuse me, I didn't hear that.
Self-criticism.
Oh, the self-criticism kicked in. It's always kicked in, dear. It's
Oh,
just noticing it. Okay. So to begin with, how many of you were able to catch yourself in there and actually spot what you were thinking? Okay, great. How many of you found that helpful in your meditation to get that little? So this is what awakening means, okay? That there's an alternation of vision and mindness. There are moments where we are awake and we're in the world, and then there are times when we go on automatic pilot. And the purpose of meditation is to begin to notice the qualitative difference between when I'm present and when I'm just in that groove. They literally say that when you're in that automatic pilot sort of mood, time compresses. Your memory doesn't even choose to record that, which is why weeks can go by where you're doing the same task over and over again, and you have feeling of no time having passed. That time only gets recorded that's vivid when we have a full awareness in the present. So when Jesus talks about being in the kingdom, he's talking about being awake. He's talking about not sleepwalking. That's an image that he uses, is the word sleepwalking through our days. There's a popular song that says, I don't want your sleepwalk dancing anymore. I don't want it. I want to be in this moment. So that's what we're practicing doing. And then we'll go back to sleep and then we'll wake up. The point is to wake up more often. And that's why you go into a retreat. You have several invitations because you have periods of time where you're accountable, you're making a transition, you're going in, you're starting over. The Muslims pray 5 times a day, and in AA we wake up, we say our morning prayer as we call our sponsor, we talk to someone in the program, we read the big book. These are all ways of coming back and remembering what you're doing and using the benefit of the Sangha to have a sort of accountability. This is my period for being awake and starting my weekend off by trying to be present for the time that I have when I'm not in routine tasks. So, questions or comments?
Can we talk about commiserating a little bit?
Okay. Wait, what
I
you
feel
got?
like I get a lot of that. I feel like I have people that I work with or that want to complain about the job uh, or their job, things like that. It's like or you know what you do every day. Are you I guess you're not commiserating with people, but how do we neutralize that or
it's a tough one.
Well,
get through
that's,
that?
you raised an absolutely to the point question, which is that when I sit with people, I sit with people. I don't commiserate with people. Okay. And I tell people when they go, well, you don't seem to be getting very upset with what I'm talking about. No, I'm not. Okay. And the day that I get as upset as you are about what you're talking about is the day I cease to be effective. So when you begin to think, and this is something, Sue Ellen is here, and Sue Ellen is a minister too. She sings in chorale with us, and I'm glad to see you, even though you're not on your screen. One of the things they teach you as a minister is to be a non-anxious presence in your church. Forget pastoral counseling, forget preaching. Primary thing, non-anxious presence. Why? Because the calmest brain in the room is the healer, okay? not the most anxious brain, not the person who's gotten the most disturbed by what's going on. Look at how disturbed I am by what's going on. Look at how cool I am because I'm suffering more than anyone else with this catastrophe that we're living through. No, that's not leadership. That's not doing anybody any good, particularly not yourself. So with what we call limbic resonance, when you sit, if you're doing nothing more than bringing a mind that isn't caught up in fight or flight, but is ventral and regulated, that's called co-regulating. That's what you do with your dog. No cat is here with her dog. And so with your dog, you got a calm brain too. They help bring you down. So even at work, while people are inviting you to do that, you don't have to participate in it. You don't have to internalize it. You can sit and watch it. Just like you'd watch a storm. Yeah, there's a disturbance out there, but not let that emotional energy penetrate.
So what would be a good verbal response?
Wow.
Or what?
Verbal.
I can see that's really upsetting for you.
Okay.
Done.
Thank you.
Again, the 4 questions you ask before you open your mouth. Is it true? Is it compassionate?
Does it improve upon the
Does
silence?
Is it necessary, and does it improve upon the silence? And I've found that it's amazing how many things you don't need to say.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, in conscious communication, they would teach us to repeat back what that person has said, but that's not making a comment on it. So in conscious communication, you don't comment on it.
I hear you're upset.
I hear you're upset. This is what I hear you saying, blah, 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 blah.
How does that integrate into a group environment?
Well, the question is, do you want to integrate into a group environment?
Well, like, an AA meeting or, a group counseling session.
Okay. The point is, do you need to say anything if you're called on to talk? Like what we're doing right now. One of the rules of this group is to speak from the heart, speak from what's happening right now inside of you. Okay? I used to feel when I first started in AA that I needed to respond to everybody else's upset. I mean, I was a fucking untreated Al-Anon. And so when I finally got my chance to talk, I was going to solve everybody's problems in one thing. And what I discovered was that this was really a time for me to keep my mouth shut and just focus internally on what I was feeling and what I needed to process. What did I need to do to regulate? And that made the time much richer for me, okay? So even though you're in a group, you're not necessarily of a group. The most profound time we spend here is when we don't talk to each other. And so listen to put this together with what I said last week about the importance of silence and space to healing. We give each other space to be quiet. That's when the healing happens, not when we talk. When we talk, we're probably just rehearsing our tapes. We're just digging another groove in there, unless we're really on something that's very current. You're not saying anything you haven't said 1,000,000 times before.
When we
I got it. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
It may be a different topic, but it's the same spin.
Well, I'll go ahead now that Robert didn't jump in real quick. We do ask someone, we do get in a group and we ask, how are you today? And then if I'm miserable, I'm not going to say I'm fine. I'm not going to say I'm great. I'm going to say, well, I could be better.
Right.
I don't expect anybody to go into that, but I really do expect myself to be honest. And if I say I'm fine, I'm lying, and then I'll feel even worse. Doesn't mean that you have to respond to it. It's like y'all said. You could say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm a bad day. Yeah, that's all it is, But always saying, yeah, like you're taught, you always say, I'm great. I'm great.
Yeah.
That's not going to get you anywhere anyhow, because you commiserate. It's what you do. You're a human being. It's part of it.
Okay, so
Thank you.
and the other thing, Corinne, though, is to realize that there's social conventions and games that we play, that if we're aware that we're playing a game, is fine. If you say, how are you? And I go, I'm fine. If I'm passing someone on the street, they go, hey, how are you? I'm doing fine. That's not what we're talking about. That doesn't make any difference. That's what we call phatic communication. The purpose of that communication is to stay in touch. We're just staying in touch. Hey, how you doing? Yeah,
Hey.
we've engaged. But it's when we get into real intention to connect that the honesty becomes much more important. So it's hard to maintain your integrity in every interaction that you have. They're not all that important. Robert?
Well, I think a lot of what we talk about is simply nonsense syllables that we create so that we can give a little bit of comfort to each other and to the environment around us.
Right.
We do that through vocal utterances much of the time. And happily, we also do it through touching each other. That's really adds to it. But a lot of what we say is, of course, meaningless because we're simply saying we are alive and we're happy that the other person is alive too.
Agree?
But the point, Robert, is
Yep.
that we don't say that. I can't tell you one communication that I've had this week where someone communicated anything close to that to me.
Hmm.
I'm alive and I'm really glad.
Mm.
I'm glad you're alive. I'm glad you're in my life. No,
It's implied, I think.
Yeah,
is what you're
yes.
saying.
and I'm
Yes.
saying, I'm
Yeah.
saying if we're doing that by commiserating, complaining, you may think that you're saying, I'm glad you're alive, but what you're really doing is you're wiring negativity in your brain. You're using negativity to build bonding. You don't need to bond around the negativity. It has consequences. It affects your nervous system. It keeps you it keeps you in fight or flight. So you think you avoid the consequences. So it's very important that if what you're really wanting to say, and you're dead on, Hafiz says it to us. He says, it often happens in heaven and sometimes happens on earth, that you fall in front of the person who you love and say, how can I love you better? When the fuck are we going to start that? I'm serious. We think nothing about bringing all my garbage, my complaints, my worries, my fears. Yeah, I'll bring all of that to you, but I won't ever ask that question.
And that goes directly back to what Jeremy is saying, maybe practicing even what is a skillful response that doesn't take us both down the rabbit hole of complaining, commiserating, just what you were saying. What's a skillful response?
Well,
I hear what you're saying.
Unfortunately, it's been trivialized.
Yeah.
And we say, I feel your pain, and that's not true either.
No.
Because those are more motor neurons firing in your brain that are in sync with what's going on in your brain. So I feel pain with you is a more skillful thing to say.
I hear what you're saying.
I feel, yeah, I share your pain. I share your pain. And that's the essence of what Buddhism says is, it's not my pain, it's our pain. It's not a private possession of mine. So if we use it for empathy, that's skillful. To overcome the sense, Jeremy, if you're sitting there and you're experiencing pain with them, overcome that sense that I'm unique and isolated. So one of the things we talk about is moving from being apart from to a part of. If I allow myself to make that transition to, God, Wow. And we have to think
It's our common humanity.
our common humanity. So that's what that looks like when I do that.
Yeah, and you know, Judith Lassiter says it best, oh, how human of me to feel this pain, or for you, how human of you to be angry, to love, I mean.
But
But that's why we commiserate. That's why we want to talk to each other. We want to find that connection. We want to all know that we're alike and we have that. And when you're feeling bad, it's really nice to know when your friends are saying, "Oh, I'm really sorry." It sucks. No one should say more.
okay.
I mean, I like that. I don't think, you know, you might say that that's looking for comfort when there's no comfort and you got to be strong and never look for comfort. I mean,
Okay.
I'm just human.
Corinne?
Yeah.
I look for comfort.
Okay. Okay. So take a deep breath. The important thing is to take a step back from that. Okay. So am I caught up in the pain? If I'm caught up in the pain, that's not good. That's not skillful. That's just rehearsing an old wound. So let's say we're talking about someone who hurt me, and I tell that story again and again. All I'm doing is rehearsing a resentment. The reason why is because it's not present tense. And yes, then you may start your resentment, and then we feel bonded because we both have resentments and we both hate the same people. Now you've become a Nazi. Congratulations. And you've built a party around your resentments and your hatred. No, that feels good. That gives you all kinds of dopamine. That gives you all kinds of even oxytocin to bond through the negative. You are human. Yes, we make mistakes, but you're also sacred. You also have a dimension that you can enter at the same time that's outside the pain, that transcends the pain, and that we can bring both of us into that space. That's where healing happens, right? But that's what we mean by letting go of it, letting go of the emotional load that's in it, step back from it. Then we can share our common humanity, not in the negativity, but the common humanity of being a soul that knows that it's so much capable of so much more than it's doing, rather than bonding. It's that potential in that moment. And the awareness of the failures. In my church, on Yom Kippur, we'd say, in this flaw, we see our common humanity. Strengthen us in our desire to be good, to be the goodness that we know we are. All right?
And yeah, go ahead.
What about having a Tonglanesh kind of response to that and saying, I hear, that you're feeling a lot of pain. And even maybe with that, breathing that in, and maybe without even saying, breathing out, and I wish you peace. Does that keep you unhooked from it somewhat?
That's what you're going to have to find out, Woody.
Okay. Everyone's different for that. Okay.
Feels.
Yeah, but even imagining the possibility, okay, there was a metaphysical poet, I think it was George Herbert, and he said, he drew a circle, shut me out, rebel, heretic, a thing to flout, but love and I had wit to win. I drew a circle that took him in, okay? So that idea that there's an awareness out here that's bigger than what I'm talking about, that is peaceful now, that is connected with you right now, that is, even in the midst of suffering, capable of joy, is capable of a sense of freedom and expansion. If I can fall back into that space with you, if I can make the awareness bigger than your pain or my pain or our pain even, or even the need for words. When the closest I can get to this, and I keep coming back to the word presence, because presence is that awareness with openness, awareness into the heart, into an embodied body. We had a professor at the University of Chicago. His name was Joe Sittler, and he taught Old Testament. He's a Lutheran. He also taught, he didn't teach Old Testament, he taught religion and architecture, of all things. And he looked like an Old Testament prophet. He looked like someone drawn by El Greco. He had a long face, and it was craggy, and he had glasses that were thick as the bottom of beer bottles. And he had double hearing aids. And he would stand up in front of us and be silent for minutes. And I'm going to talk on this at some point too. And we'd all get restless and uncomfortable. And then he would say a few things, maybe 2 or 3 sentences. And then he'd be quiet again. And then he'd say a few more things, like the words were coming out of a profound depth. And what he communicated without words is, I know something that's really worth knowing. And I know that you don't know it. But I'm here to let you know that it's there and encourage you to find it. And I hope that when you do find it, that you come back and we can talk and you can share your experience with me. If you want to be perceived as a leader, the best thing you can do is before you speak, give 7 seconds of silence. We always jump in on top of each other. That shows anxiety and impatience. But we know this neurologically. Even 7 seconds of silence before you talk conveys a sense of control, of presence, of speaking, not out of impulsiveness and reactivity, but a genuine response to what you just said, that I've heard you, I've taken it in, I've observed it and processed it, and now. So you hear me talk about responsibility, the capacity to respond rather than react. Calm, then talk.
That's good. And an issue, it seems to me, you've been skating around that Jeremy brought up and that Corinne and Woody both talked about really is the issue of compassion. And you seem to be skating a fine line between rejecting and supporting compassion.
Where do you hear rejecting compassion?
I heard it in your first response to Jeremy. It sounded, and given Corinne's response, it felt like there was some avoidance of compassion.
Not at all. I'm
But
saying
you
exactly.
Well, it felt that way. It felt that way. I know what you're saying is that's not your intent, but I certainly felt it.
I may not have understood his question fully too, because I'm not sure that I heard it. No, I'm not saying that. I am saying that compassion is awareness. They're not two separate things. And that being in awareness and being in present is compassion. I'm not skating around it.
But but you didn't use that word.
I did not use that
No.
word.
And that's a good word to add.
But compassion for us means empathy, and so often empathy is not compassion.
No.
Okay,
Right.
so you're right. It's not, so the non-judgmental awareness, Tommy.
But
is-
compassion goes beyond awareness.
No, they're not two separate things. I'm saying compassion is non-judgmental awareness. Okay, compassion is not something that awareness adds on. Compassion is something that comes with awareness. So with awareness, the dividing line between us dissolves. Okay, there is no separation. There's no separation in good or bad. There's no distinction in anything. So awareness is like the sky. The sky is compassionate because the sky rejects nothing. It holds nothing. It isn't attached to anything. Anything can move through it. And that's what awareness is. Anytime you get stuck, that's why I'm saying if I'm sitting in a situation with you trying to accomplish something, I'm already out of awareness. Does that make sense? The sky isn't making an effort to be spacious. It's its nature to be spacious. It makes no effort to include everything because it's simply space. It's simply space.
So I really think we need more on this.
Well, we do.
Because, we come back to the original question, and that is, how can you be compassionate without commiserating?
Okay. And again, listen to what you're saying.
I know.
Okay, and here are the traps. This is why this stuff is so difficult to talk about. Okay, how can I try to be compassionate? You're
Right.
already so far away from it that you can't get
It's
back.
I know trying is not
because
good.
there's no effort there. Okay, so this is what we're practicing. We're practicing in the quiet, simply being open to simply allow everything. Use that image. Life is energy. The energy comes in, it passes through us, it makes an impression, and it passes out. So when I'm there, can I maintain that sense of openness and not close in response to someone else's suffering? So if you're sitting and talking to someone, if I'm talking to a person going through something very difficult and I start to close, then what I do is to feel the closures happening in me and open and breathe and soften and maintain presence even in the space of their suffering, okay? And overcome any desire or tendency to want to fix what's in front of me because there's nothing to fix. Sadness is sadness, and sadness is appropriate. Fear is fear, and fear is appropriate. It doesn't need to get fixed. It needs space to pass through and leave. It's a whole different model. It's a whole different model.
And I think Tonglen, too, that Woody brought up.
Right, that we talked about before, because Tonglen, again, teaches me how to stay open in the face of things that are difficult and to continue to send out the love that I am. But that's not an effort, because when I'm in being, that's what I am. It's not something I have to manufacture, okay? It's going to be a part of my response. So, I wish you could watch people like Ram Dass. I think there's a thing out there where he's doing some couples counseling, and the couple is fighting, and he bursts into tears. He says, "Would y'all please stop? I can't watch this. I can't watch this." And, so even Ram Dass couldn't stay open to everything. Couldn't say. But that's not a rejection of compassion. That's him stopping. He's on overwhelm. And in situations at work, am I there to fix them? Are they interested in being fixed? They want to receive compassion. No, they don't want to. So again, the question is, how much do we squander stuff when people aren't receptive? Okay, So we do it at a distance, you do it, but it's that feeling while you're sitting that I have to do something in response to that. That's more what I was addressing and saying often, no, you don't. You don't. Just be peace. Be the peace you're looking for. Don't. So we'll come back to this, not next
gotcha.
week because we got the retreat. Next week, actually, we're going to be talking about how taking care of people is actually fear masquerading as spirituality. And so I guess we will touch on this in another way. So
Today was very, very skillful. I liked it. I dualistically loved today's conversation.
well, I dualistically receive it, and I'm going to stroke my ego.
Ah,
Hey, I love you all. I'm just happy to be here. It's true. It's really true.
we love you, Corinne.
I didn't hear what you said, so
I said I love you all. I'm happy to be here.
I am too.
okay.
Love you all.
For some-
Happy to be here.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be anywhere.
Happy you're here.
All right, folks, you want to open us out, Omi?
Okay. You can open up your devices. Breath in.
I choose it.
Wow.
Everybody,
Love you all.
Thank you.
Love you, Bart and Linnell.
love you too.
Thank you so much for the great session.
Great. Enjoyed it. Take care.
Bye-bye.
And I hope y'all survived the ice storm, Linnell and
So
Bart.
far, so good,
So far,
but
so
more
good.
to come.
I'm going to go walk
I
in it.
know.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
gosh. Be careful.
I will. You ought to see. I was standing loading my car, and I've got crushed acorn shells all over my sidewalk. And I'm
In
standing by
Shreveport.
on the curb, and the curb's got a little slant like this on it. And all of a sudden, I just slipped like I was on ice. My feet went out from under me. I had nowhere to brace myself.
On
I
an
fell
acorn.
on
Oh.
acorn, crushed acorn shells. They're kind of- It was like being on little ball bearings. And I busted my ass. I got a black bruise like this.
Oh,
Oh, my
no.
God.
And I said,
Oh, Bart. Sorry.
oh, I told the to start calling me Spot.
I know. Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank God I
Well,
did.
we love you.
Love you too.
Thank you.
Hey,
Stay away from that ice.
I know.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
treacherous.
Yeah,
if you can.
yes.
And now I've gotten arrogant because I'm thinking, all these years of powerlifting, I've got bones of steel because I should have broken something. But
I know.
Well, that's, wow. Glad you didn't.
Lucky you.
Lucky Bart.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Take care.
Take
Take
care.
care.
Love you
Talbot, Robert,
guys.
thank you.
Take care.